All right, good morning, scholars. Today we are going to read chapter 8 together. After, you're going to read chapter 9 on your own, and there will be questions that will follow. So, right now, with paper and pencil, what I would like you to do, because we've been focusing on Standard 3, and Standard 3 is to describe in depth a character, setting, or event in a story. I'm drawing on specific details in the text. So, in this text, we've been introduced to multiple characters. So, what I would like you to do is grab that pencil that's next to you, and I want you to write down all the character names, right? And how they relate with one another. So, in this story, everybody, as you've figured out, they have nicknames. There's Turtle, and there's Pork Chop, and there's Buddy, and there's Pudding, and there's all these different names. So I want us to work on creating a map of all the characters. All right, so let's start with chapter 8, A Big Happy Family. So just before this, Turtle was expressing how she misses her mom. We know her mom is in Miami. She's originally from New Jersey, and now she's in Key West with family she's never met before. She's doing her best to get along with everybody, but there is this diaper gang that we've been introduced to, a group of boys. And again, this is the setting is it's taken place in during a time of the Great Depression, and they are in Key West. So there's a group of kids who just want to eat some candy. So they're babysitting, and in exchange, they get candy. All right, so let's keep reading. A Big Happy Family. Maybe it's because it's only ever been Mama and me, but I don't understand. What's so wonderful about having a big family? Someone's always fighting or not talking to someone else or scrounging around trying to borrow money. As far as I can tell, relations are nothing but trouble. The diaper gangs got Pudding today and Buddy too, because Aunt Minnie has to go to Mr. Wrinkler's washing. She takes in laundry to make money. Kermit's right, Buddy's more trouble than a baby. He spent the entire morning complaining. He's hot, he's tired, he's bored, he's thirsty. He needs to use the outhouse, and now he's hungry. So hungry, I can't think, Buddy whines. You can't think because you ain't got no brains, Buddy, Bean says. I got a headache because I ain't got no food in my belly, Buddy whines. Come on, let's go to my house, Pork Chop says. Mr. Soldano makes the best bollos on Ash Street, Kermit tells me. He pronounces it boy-os. You better not let Mommy hear you say that, Pork Chop says. She thinks that she makes the best bollos in all of Key West. A sign that says Soldano's announces a little lunch counter that's set under the porch in front of the house. There's a man eating a sandwich on a stool. You must be Turtle, a round-cheeked woman bustling behind the counter says with a warm smile. I've heard a lot about you. All bad, Pork Chop says. I hope you children are hungry because I need someone to try my latest batch of bollos, Mr. Soldano says. I'm starving, Buddy cries. Mrs. Soldano places a plate of fried balls of dough in front of us, and the boys grab them as fast as they can. I pick one up and I take a bite. It's tasty, all garlicky and spicy. What's in them, I ask. Black-eyed peas, garlic, pepper, and a few other secret things, Mrs. Soldano says. These sure are swell, Mrs. Soldano, Buddy says, licking his fingers, but I think I might need to try more just to see if I like them better than that last batch you made. You say that every time, Buddy, she laughs. Say, you win last week? Mrs. Soldano Kermit asked. I'll win this week. I picked good numbers, she says. Win what? I asked. The bolita, Mrs. Soldano says. Cuban lottery, Pork Chop tells me. You'll still make us bollos when you're rich, won't you? Mrs. Soldano, Buddy asked. Of course, Buddy, she says. Mrs. Soldano makes us lunch, toasted ham and pickle sandwiches on Cuban bread, and something called flan for dessert. The flan is delicious and creamy. When we're done, she hands a bowl of flan to Pork Chop. Take this to Nana Philly, she says. Mommy, he complains, but she just orders him, go, and turns to the new customer. We walk down Francis Street, stopping in front of a house that looks abandoned. The windows have shutters that have been nailed down to the boards. Well, what are we doing here, I ask. Bringing Nana Philly her lunch, Pork Chop says. You think we'd come here for any other reason? I look at the house. Someone lives in there? You mean the shutters? Kermit asked. They've been up for years. She put them up for a hurricane, but she won't let anyone take them down. There are probably a million scorpions living behind them by now, anyways. Beans parks the wagon with the sleeping pudding in the shade of the tree, and then the boys start to walk inside. You're gonna leave them here? I ask. Well, what if somebody takes them? Beans scoffs. Who'd want them? I'm not going in there, Buddy announces. You can't make me. Oh, Buddy, Bean says. She can't hurt you now. I don't care, he insists, his chin just jutting out. I ain't going in. Suit yourself, Bean replies, and walks in front of the door, not bothering to knock. He calls out, Miss B, you here? No one answers back. I follow the boys into a dark parlor. It's surprisingly cool, with little bits of light filtering in through the shuttered windows. Most of the parlor is taken up by the hulking piano that looks like it's crumbling in places. Termites, Kermit says, catching my look. That piano is crawling with them. I swear, this house is going to just collapse around her one of these days. You can hope, Pork Chop says. Well, why doesn't she just get rid of the piano? I ask. Her daddy was a wrecker and he saved it from a sinking ship. A wrecker? You mean he's the one that broke that piano, I ask? You don't know anything, do you? Pork Chop says. That's Nana Philly's daddy, Kermit says, and points to an oil painting of a cranky-looking old man. Well, most old people are cranky. Not that I blame them. How can you be happy when you know you're going to be dead soon? Kermit explains. When ships would wreck around Key West, he would salvage the cargo before it sank and then sell it off. Furniture, liquor, silk, jewelry, you name it. He was one of the richest men in Key West. What's Buddy so scared of? I ask as we file down a narrow hallway. Her, Pork Chop whispers, looking in the door of a small bedroom. A tiny, frail-looking old lady is sitting in a rocking chair reading a fashion magazine. She could probably use some fashion advice, considering what she's wearing. A long white cotton nightgown with a dressing gown over it, black stockings, and a red hat that makes her eyes poke out like a mole peeking up at the world. Hi, Nana Philly, Bean says. Miss B, gone out? The old lady blinks her eyes fast when she sees me. She opens her mouth with obvious effort. Thady, she says. It comes out in a frustrated moan. A cheery woman with silver hair and a large straw hat bustles in and says, Why, hello, children. I was out back hanging laundry. I didn't hear you come in. Oh, hi, Miss B, Kermit says. Pork Chop holds out the bowl. Mommy's flan. Oh, how sweet of her. Miss B doesn't look much younger than the old woman in the chair. You must be Sadie Bell's girl. You look just like your mother. She turns to Nanny Philly. Doesn't she look just like her mother? Nana Philly's mouth curls up on one side, and the other side stays tugged down. It looks like she's smiling and frowning at the same time. Something about her seems familiar. So I'm going to stop you right here. Just a minute ago, you were writing down all the characters. I want you to add to that list, okay? Because now we've been introduced to Nana Philly. We know Mr. and Mrs. Soldano. We have Miss B. I want you to add those names to your list. But I also want you to think about why Nana Philly's mouth, why do you think it curled up when she saw Turtle? Like, what would be the reason? And she said, Miss B says, doesn't she look just like her mother? Right? So I feel like we are going to be introduced to something different. There's going to be a twist in the story. So Miss B smiles warmly. We're so pleased to meet you. Maybe you can visit sometime. We gotta go, Miss B, Porkchop says, with a touch of impatience. We got babies. Of course you do, she says. Be sure to thank your mother for the flan, Porkchop. Back outside, under a glare of the hot sun, I turn to the boys. I don't understand, I say. What's so scary about the old woman? She could barely talk. Porkchop coughs. Well, I guess you could say she was a little different before she had her accident, Kermit says. Nana Philly had a fit last summer and fell, and now she can't walk or talk that good, Buddy says. Best thing that ever happened, if you ask me, Bean says. You said it, pal, Porkchop says. Miss B lives with Nana Philly now. She takes care of her. Kermit says, Ma helps out too, of course. Brings in lunch most days so Miss B can get out for a break. Miss B's a saint, Bean says. You'd have to be to live with Nana Philly, Porkchop says. How can you say that? But a poor old lady, I ask. Because she's meaner than a scorpion, Buddy says. It's true, Kermit agrees. She said Ma would be better off dead than married to Poppy, Bean says. And she stood up in church and told the minister his sermon was so boring he ought to be crucified, Porkchop adds. God himself would have come down from heaven and Nana Philly would tell him that he did a lousy job, Kermit says, and they all just laughed. She hates kids most of all, Buddy exclaims. She washed my mouth out with soap. Mine too, Kermit admits. Mine too, Porkchop adds. Bean nods. That's a lot of soap, I say. Old Nana Philly, Kermit says, almost wistfully. Francis Street sure got a lot quieter these days. How can you talk about someone's grandmother like this, I ask. Someone's grandmother, Bean says. You mean your grandmother, don't you? My grandmother? But Mama told me she was dead. She's not dead. She's just mean, Kermit says. Now I know why those eyes looked so familiar. They're the exact same shade of blue as my mama's. But why did Mama lie? And what am I supposed to do with a grandmother? Do I have a grandfather too, I asked. Nah, Grampy's dead, Kermit says. Died right around the time Buddy was born. Wasn't my fault, Buddy exclaims. I was just a baby. Well, I can't believe I have a grandmother, I say. Believe it, Porkchop says. Welcome to the family. So remember, this chapter started off with what's so great about having a family, and now she realizes she has a grandmother. Her mom told her the grandmother was dead, but really the grandmother is just mean. So I want you to finish reading. You're just going to read chapter 9, The Diaper Gang Knows, and you're going to stop at the end of chapter 9, and then you're going to answer the questions. All right, have a great day today. Make sure you get all your work done. Make sure you're on Mayan and iReady. So have a great day. Bye.